I don't have no felonies. I'm not crazy or none of that. It's like I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts. And it seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything. So, I don't want to see him go down for something that you could have just got taken care of. That's it.
He spent more than 10 years trying to prove who he really is. But now, Rymir Satwait says his search for the truth has uncovered something far more dangerous. It's no longer just about a DNA test. According to him, this is about threats, manipulation, and a wall of silence created by two of the most powerful men in the music industry. For years, Rymir has been trying to get a paternity test from Jay-Z, the man he believes is his father. But instead of getting answers, he says he was met with threats from Diddy's entourage, pressure to stop his search, and a legal system that seemed stacked against him from the start. What began as a personal mission has now turned into something much bigger, a scandal involving possible criminal conspiracy. With Jay-Z and Diddy at the center of it all.
Like they once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially when Diddy has been down.
In a new court filing, Rymir makes a shocking claim that's sending waves through the music industry. He says people connected to Diddy didn't come to talk or make a deal. They came to threaten him, and not just once, but several times. The message was clear: stop investigating, leave Jay-Z alone, and drop the case, but Rymir refused. Now, he says he's revealing what he calls a brotherhood of silence, a powerful bond between Jay-Z and Diddy built on fear, crime, and protecting each other. For years, the public saw them celebrate together at fancy parties, toast at black billionaire brunches, and speak about each other as close friends and brilliant minds. But behind the scenes, Rymir claims this so-called brotherhood works more like a secret group, not only protecting their own images but also working to silence others and hide the truth.
No, I'm not a gangster. I used to be a gangster. I've been in the music industry for 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, the industry's filled with gangsters.
So, what secrets are we really talking about here? According to Rymir, it starts with what's happening right now. He claims that Jay-Z isn't just staying quiet while Diddy deals with legal trouble. He's actively working behind the scenes to help him. Rymir's sources say Jay-Z is secretly paying for Diddy's legal team, bribing witnesses to keep them silent, and using powerful lawyers to shut down critics, all while making sure his own image stays clean in the public eye. Rymir believes this isn't about friendship, it's a strategy, a well-planned effort to hide a deep history of crime that goes back decades. Looking back, Rymir says Jay-Z has been avoiding the paternity issue with careful and deliberate moves. In 2010, when Rymir's mother, Wanda, tried to force a paternity test, the case was bounced between states, dismissed over technical details, and delayed through legal tricks that Rymir believes were meant to confuse and stop the case. At one point, Jay-Z's lawyer told the court he didn't own property in New Jersey, a claim she later admitted was false. Rymir now calls that fraud, not a mistake, and says the court system allowed it to happen. More than 10 years later, those same lawyers are now being accused of lying, blocking justice, and making sure Rymir never had a fair chance. He says this case was never just about finding out who his father is, it was about keeping a young and vulnerable person quiet.
I forgot anything, so why wouldn't I believe my mom? Like, we could have been settled this, and it only takes a conversation and some words, I'm not a hateful guy. I don't hate anyone. I'm not after nobody. I'm not trying to see no one downfall, but this is just some things that just went to court, and they just expected me to just sit there and just take what they were saying. I can't do that.
Why is this so serious? According to Wanda's sworn statement, she was just 16 years old when she says she got pregnant by Jay-Z back in 1992. That changes the entire situation, both legally and morally. If a paternity test ever happens and confirms what Rymir believes, it could connect Jay-Z to something much more serious, possibly criminal, and that's just what's already on record. Now, add in the growing allegations against Diddy, and this brotherhood between them doesn't seem like a coincidence anymore. It looks like a system of protection. Jay-Z and Diddy have known each other for decades. They're not just business partners, they've stood by each other through nightclub incidents, shootings, court cases, and now major civil lawsuits. In fact, back in 2000, both were allegedly involved in the same after-party where disturbing things reportedly happened involving a minor. The details are deeply troubling, and both Jay-Z and Diddy are named in the lawsuit. Jay-Z has denied everything and says he'll fight back against anyone who accuses him. Diddy, on the other hand, has stayed mostly silent. But behind the scenes, Rymir says Jay-Z is doing everything he can to make sure that silence continues.
Just different things that's not really beef though. That's just competitive.
Competitiveness.
All right. So you and Diddy, you and Puff cool?
No, I don't really like it.
Okay. Damn. All right. I didn't know.
The more we dig, the deeper the story goes. From the 1999 nightclub shooting that nearly ended Diddy's career to the quiet cover-up of Jay-Z's alleged fight with producer Lance Rivera. It's clear these two have been navigating scandal side by side for years. In public, they're seen as music legends. But according to Rymir, behind closed doors, they're more like kingpins protecting not just their careers, but their darkest secrets. He describes it as a system of powerful machine, fueled by fear, kept quiet through threats, and paid for with more than just music money. And in Rymir's view, Diddy isn't even the one in control. He's just the face of something much bigger.
But after that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his nefarious past.
Because once you start pulling at this thread, everything begins to fall apart. Rymir's case isn't the only one. More people, lawyers, insiders, even other alleged victims are starting to come forward. They talk about NDAs, hush money, and private investigators sent to watch or silence anyone who knows too much. Some say there's a blacklist in the music industry, a quiet rule that if you speak out against certain powerful names, your career is finished. Others believe it's not just careers that get destroyed. And then there's Ali, one of the most iconic voices of her generation. Before her tragic plane crash in 2001, she had close ties to both Jay-Z and Diddy. Now, there are whispers, some far-fetched, others disturbingly possible, that she knew things too. And maybe, just maybe, her silence wasn't by choice. So what if Rymir is right? What if this isn't just about family issues or celebrity gossip? What if it's about an entire industry built on silence and control, where the most powerful protect each other and everyone else either plays along or gets crushed? When you consider how many lawsuits disappear, how many stories are quietly buried, and how often the truth is kept from the public, it makes you question how much of what we see is real, how much is just a carefully managed illusion.
It's not just about me. If I gotta fight for all of us, I will, but I won't let the court systems just walk over me. I won't let Jay-Z, no, I won't let no one just walk over me and tell me something because y'all just saying this. I want the truth. And if we can't go to the Supreme Courts, the regular courts, to find out the truth, what are they here for?
Yeah, all right, we'll get to the legal things that you've been through, the battles.
Here's what Rymir is doing. He's breaking through the illusion. He's not just taking legal action against Jay-Z, he's challenging the entire system. He's calling out the judges, lawyers, industry executives, everyone who, he says, played a role in keeping this case hidden. And according to him, the resistance has been intense. Sealed court records, unexplained penalties, threats behind the scenes. He claims even the courts have tried to silence him, but he's not backing down. Because for Rymir, this isn't just a personal fight anymore. It's about exposing what he calls an empire built on lies.
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now you go to fact-finding, right?
And if that's true, even if only half of it is, then this isn't just a lawsuit. It's a crack in the foundation, a rare look into how power really works at the highest levels of fame. In that world, billionaires don't just hire lawyers, they allegedly hire fixers. Public apologies are written by teams, and private sins are erased with settlements. Brotherhood isn't about friendship, it's about survival. And the most chilling part, according to Rymir, this isn't even the whole story. He says Diddy is just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg, not the ocean. What lies beneath, he claims, is something far darker. A system built on violence, control, and exploitation. A system that doesn't just silence people, destroys them.
Go back to that 50 Cent post. And I'm going to tell you why 50 is literally a diabolical genius.
From whispered warnings to outright bribes, insiders describe a chilling strategy designed to keep the truth hidden. And it's not just Rymir who claims he's been targeted. Others have quietly reported the same troubling pattern. Unexpected calls from blocked numbers, secret cash offers, threats disguised as friendly advice, and then suddenly, silence. Court documents vanish, witnesses pull out, and careers quietly come to a halt. It's the kind of pressure that doesn't leave bruises, but still breaks people down. One former assistant who worked near ROC Nation's legal team said they never had to spell out the consequences. You just knew. And that's what makes this story bigger than one paternity case. If all they cared about was protecting reputations, they could have settled this privately. But if the real goal is protecting a network, a tight circle of power that stretches from boardrooms to backrooms, then all the secrecy starts to make sense. According to several sources familiar with the cases tied to both moguls, there's a clear pattern: intimidation, quiet payoffs, and layer upon layer of It's not a security team keeping things quiet. It's lawyers, managers, and people who owe favors. a protection ring built not with muscle, but with influence.
Now, with respect to evidentiary value, yes, it happened 24 years ago, right? More than 24 years ago. But in the allegations, there's a few things. Number one, that there's allegation that another celebrity was present at the time, right, in addition to other people. Number two, there's the claim by the victim, right, that she left, that she went and she was seen by a...
It all starts to make more sense when you look back at Diddy's infamous white parties, the glamorous, all-white events that became iconic in the early 2000s. On the surface, they looked like something out of The Great Gatsby. With a hip-hop twist, celebrities in white suits, flashing cameras, and luxury on full display. But according to anonymous guests who have since come forward, the real party didn't begin until after the cameras were gone. One former model who attended several of these events told Page 6 that when the lights dimmed and the crowds thinned out, everything changed. She said there were no rules and more than once. She saw people who looked far too young, teenagers dressed like adults, nervous, as if they didn't know where they were or why they were there. These were the parties where fame was offered, careers were shaped or destroyed, and silence was the price of admission. Behind the tall Hamptons hedges and million-dollar smiles, there are stories of manipulation, substances being...
Don't trust no one. Hollywood specifically, when you get there, a lot of people don't know how to say no. That's the difference between New York City and California.
And where was Jay-Z during all of this? Right there a ways close to Diddy, often dressed alike, and frequently stepping off the private jet just behind him. At those exclusive parties, the two were inseparable. They weren't just partying, were moving like business partners, not just friends, sharing laughs, deals, and influence in the same elite circles. But now, as lawsuits pile up and names start getting named, that closeness has become a serious risk. Because if even part of these allegations are true, then being that close doesn't just suggest friendship, it suggests shared knowledge, and possibly, shared responsibility.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was sexually assaulted by both.
It's clear why Rymir's claims have struck such a nerve. He isn't just demanding a DNA test, he's challenging an entire system that, according to him, relies on fear to operate. That leads to the most troubling question. If this secret brotherhood really exists, how many people has it already silenced? Remember, this is an industry known for the sudden disappearances of whistleblowers, insiders who go quiet, and former participants who vanish from the spotlight. Just look at how quickly some previous party regulars have distanced themselves with cryptic social media posts, unexplained unfs, and deliberate silence from certain A-listers. We've seen this pattern before. What begins as mere gossip can eventually turn into solid evidence.
Or they're already living separate lives, and we may actually see one of the biggest divorces in Hollywood is because Jay-Z is up next to be exposed.
It's no coincidence that this storm began just as Diddy started facing a wave of lawsuits. One accuser, a woman who says she was assaulted when she was just 30, claims that Jay-Z was there. The details in her account are disturbing, and the timeline is specific. Jay-Z has denied everything and publicly challenged her to press criminal charges. But critics argue that survivors often don't get that option, especially when the accused are billionaires with powerful legal teams behind them. Civil court is sometimes the only path left. Jay-Z said those victims would deserve real justice if the claims were true. But what if they can't even get close to that justice? According to Rymir, the road is blocked from the very beginning. He says the problems go beyond the accused men. Records have been sealed without explanation. Judges removed from cases, with no reason given, sanctions imposed for breaking rules that were never officially documented. In some cases, it's not just Jay-Z or Diddy putting up obstacles, it's the system itself, and that raises a chilling question. If these two powerful men can allegedly manipulate the legal process, scare off accusers, and hide the truth, then what else might they be capable of? One phrase keeps coming up, in court documents, in whispers from insiders, and in anonymous late-night posts, the Brotherhood of Silence. It sounds dramatic until you think about what it implies: a secret agreement among powerful men, built on the idea that image is everything, truth is dangerous, and loyalty is non-negotiable. Rymir says it's very real, and he believes it's still in full effect because even now, as the lawsuits pile up, the silence from those at the top remains deafening.
I can only say as a father that I hope I instill with them the values that they would want to look for in a man. And I think I did when Beyonce wrote on her, I think it was her first album, maybe it was the second one, the song Daddy, that she hoped that she found someone just like her daddy.
And then there's the bigger picture music industry that still protects its gatekeepers, where power is traded in penthouses and at private parties, and where speaking out isn't seen as courageous, it's seen as dangerous. We've all seen what happens to those who say too much. Their albums get shelved, their tours fall apart, their phones stop ringing. And for those who threaten to bring down the wrong person, they don't just disappear from the charts, they disappear from the story altogether. This isn't just about whether Jay-Z fathered a son, it's about whether two of the most powerful figures in modern music built their empires on fear, silence, and control. If that's true, then the next round of revelations won't just shake up the music scene, it could bring down an entire institution. And then there's Aaliyah. Her tragic death continues to haunt this entire narrative, not just because of her talent, but because of the space her absence left behind. Aaliyah wasn't just a rising star, she was a force. Someone who could change the sound and feel of an entire genre without even trying. She had personal ties to both Jay-Z and Diddy. She was romantically linked to Jay-Z at one point, deeply connected to Damon Dash, and, according to some, cautious about the very circles both men were climbing in. Her death wasn't just a loss, was a shift in power, and the question that still lingers is whether it was truly fate, or something far more calculated. A few insiders have whispered that Aaliyah's passing marked a turning point. The moment the industry's most powerful figures realized what real control looked like.
And now removed her. So, civil complaint, simply allegations, needs to be proven in a court of law. But if true, it could rise to the level of criminality. And, we'll see what happens after the DA looks and investigates.
That idea might sound extreme until you consider the conspiracy theories that began to spread in the aftermath. Whispers of blood sacrifice and secret societies choosing one star over another didn't just come from tabloid headlines. They came from fans and former insiders who saw patterns that were too strange to ignore. Aaliyah died in 2001 under bizarre, unavoidable circumstances, an overloaded plane, a questionable pilot, and a last-minute flight that didn't need to happen. Meanwhile, Beyoncé, another rising R&B star groomed by the industry, with Jay-Z by her side, stepped into the spotlight. Soon after, the timing isn't proof, but it is unsettling. For those who follow the so-called Illuminati breadcrumbs, this wasn't just a tragedy, it was a signal. Whether or not you believe in secret cabals running the show, one thing is clear: the silence that followed was deafening. Jay-Z, normally outspoken on major issues, has said little about Aaliyah. Despite moving in the same circles, he kept his distance. Yet, both he and Beyoncé rose quickly in her absence. Careers flourished. Empires were built. The idea that Aaliyah's loss cleared the way for others, that her death removed a powerful, unpredictable voice, is hard to prove, but even harder to ignore. And if that's true, then the so-called Brotherhood of Silence isn't just about protecting today, it may also be about burying the past. So now we're here. A lawsuit that might be the start of something much bigger, or the final cry before silence takes over once again. Rymir says he won't back down, but history shows that the machine he's fighting doesn't lose easily. Now we want to hear from you. Is this the unraveling of a legendary empire, or just another scandal waiting to be swept under the rug? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're watching. And until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember, in this business, the glitz is never the whole story.